going on, everybody? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Paul Goneau. Today, my guest is actor and comedian Freddy Jan.
What's up? How we doing?
Thank you for coming, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, where do you live? Where do you live in Toronto?
I'm like Bloor and Spadina.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like it's not too far from a lot of the comedy clubs. Which
That's
is
a
good.
busy area.
Yeah.
How
man.
is it living there?
It's good. Like during the day, it's a weird area because it's like depending on where you go, like the demographic changes like quite a bit. So if you go like north of where I'm at, then you get like these like pretty big homes, like everybody's rich. But then you kind of go a little bit south or like farther west, and then you have like high school kids and like crackheads like all intermingling in one.
Yeah.
But it's close to everything, which is dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice, man. And you drive too.
No, I don't drive. I got a license, but I don't drive.
How did you get up here?
I busted it, go trained it,
Bro,
or whatever. Not go trained it, go
serious?
bust it. Yeah, my sister's picking me up though.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it was just the trip.
Dude,
there.
you should have let me fucking know. I would have fucking like picked you up at like square one or something.
Oh, no worries, man. It was
Dude.
chill. It was the day. I had my day off, so it was like I just popped in some headphones and joke write it a little bit. But yeah, if it was the way back too, then that would have been rough.
Is that where you get like? Do you find you write when you're out more? Just because, like, you're observing things, or, like...
It helps. Like, I don't know about you, but I feel like whenever I, like, try to, like, sit down, like, let's say at a desk and be, like, just write, I can kind of come up with some ideas, but they're never, like, as interesting as the ones that, like, I have when I'm just, like, on the bus or, like, in the shower, where I can take the pressure off of having to come up with something funny, you know? So, like, anytime I'm, like, let's say, like, a long bus ride, like, over here, I just, like, have the notes app open, and then I'll sort of just, like, pop headphones in and chill. And then just, like, any sort of, like, interesting idea, I'll put it in. And then later on, like, when I'm at my place, then, like, I'll come to the ideas and see if I can joke right from there. But the ideas themselves, I feel like I need that, like, meditative state just to get into it.
Interesting. I was talking to... Lester Fernandez was on my last episode.
Yeah.
And, like, I always... I can respect those people, like a Jay Rainville type, who's like, all right, I'm going to do, like, a half hour every day, and he has, like, a calendar, and he's, like, very strict about it, you know?
Yeah.
I respect that a lot, but anytime I try to do that myself, I feel like the same, like, I'm just, when things come to me, I will maybe write. I'm trying to be more detailed also when things come to me, instead of just writing down like nightgown or like something like that, because I have so many of those where I was like, I know this was funny when I wrote it down, but what the fuck is, like, I don't know.
One time I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought I had like the most genius idea, like I was certain of it, and I like put it in my like phone, and then the next day, swear to God, I opened it up and it just had fries and mustard. That's it. And I was just like, and that was the middle of the night. So it's like, I obviously couldn't be detailed, but I do think that, like, when you do come up with an idea, like, whatever that genius was, you can lose it if you're not, like, really specific with what you wrote down. You know? So I get it.
And you mostly write, like, in your notes. I do that same thing, like Samsung notes or some shit like that.
Yeah. I have my iPhone, so I just put it in the notes there. But, like, I do get what you mean, like, I feel like everyone like has like a different process. Like I know a lot of comedians, they like really subscribe to sit down, like I guess what Jay Rainville said, write every day, and then at least you get something out.
Yeah.
Like the way I do think I respect it too. The way I look at it is like, it's like if you're like at a party, you know, you're at a party sometimes you're more on than other days, and I feel like that has to apply the same with like joke writing. So I'll like sit down and like write from time to time, but I do feel that like there's a lot you don't have in control, and so it's just like if it comes, it comes, and then like you said, like when it does, make sure to put like more than 2 words so you can like come back to it later on, you know?
Yeah. How old are you, man?
28.
28?
Yeah, 28.
Why'd you get into stand-up? How long you been doing it? 2 years?
Like about like if you add it up, about like 5 years now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I started like late 2018. And then like took a long, like I basically did it once and it took like a long break, but I got into it. I was just working. I just wasn't really like, I was just like, this can't just be like it. Like there's nothing wrong with like the job and the situation, but I was like, this isn't really, when I looked at my job, I didn't want to be there for like the next like 5 years and stuff. And so I was like, I didn't even get into stand-up thinking I wanted to do as a career. I was just like, this would be fun to try, you know? Yeah. So signed up for like the Yuck Yucks amateur night on Tuesday, sent an email in, and then they got back to me like basically like a couple hours before like the actual like set, and they were like, yeah man, if you want to go up, like you can. And I knew nothing about like stand up, so I thought like this was like my one opportunity basically. So then, you know, scribbled a bunch of like jokes down, and then did like the Yuck Yucks amateur night. And that was like my first set ever, basically.
How'd it go?
It went okay. It went all right. Like I didn't like crush, but like I did pretty well, just because there was a lot of drunk moms in the audience, and I find that like if they look at someone who's a bit younger, and I was a lot younger at the time, they kind of just project their son onto you. Mm-hmm. So they were watching me, and I think like no matter what I said, as long as I was like kind of polite and didn't like roast them or anything, like they were gonna like laugh because I was trying. But yeah, they laughed a bunch, and then that was like the first one, and I was kind of like I was feeling myself a little bit after that. I was like, oh yeah, I'm the next one. And then I tried like a real open mic because I didn't know like open mics like really existed. I thought like Yuck Yucks was everything. And I tried like a real open mic where like the people there didn't know you were gonna be there. You know, it's like in a bar, you can hear the dishwasher going on, and I just like ate shit so hard. And then I was like, all right, this isn't for me. And then I took the break that I kind of mentioned, but that was just the start of it all.
Well, I'm glad you came back, man.
Thanks, man.
You're crushing, dude. You're a beast.
Yeah.
You've won both my competition shows.
Yeah.
You're the only one so far to have done that.
Oh shit, man. Okay, that's blessed. I got both of. I think one time I got like the little golden trophy.
Yeah.
I brought it home, and this was when I was living back at home. My mom saw it. She like put it like at the front
Sick.
of like her
That's
living
so
room.
cute. I love that shit, man.
So no, man, that was fun.
Yeah, dude. That's such a wild introduction to. It took me like a year or so before I did Yuck Yucks. It was like I did Second City, and my first show was really good. But like they even tell you it's like everyone's gonna be nice. It's your first show, and it's all your friends, so they're gonna be real supportive. So it was a completely different vibe than the open mics. But there was a lot of me where like I didn't feel worthy enough. Sure. I had viewed Yuck Yucks as like this, just like pinnacle. And I mean, like in Canadian comedy, it's definitely
big. It's big. Yeah. Like Jim Carrey was there.
Even people that aren't into Yuck Yucks know about, or like stand up comedy in general, like know about Yuck Yucks. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then I did it, and one time I fucking smacked my head off the sign. Brutal, dude. Brutal.
Like walking up or like?
No, like I had hidden some like I had like a joke about like a kind of like fuck the system kind of joke.
True. Okay.
Where I talk about like dipping nuggets in McNuggets in KFC gravy, and so I had like little props, and I would just like bust them out at the right opportunity, and when I ducked down, I fucking stood up, and I just wanted to walk. I knew it was over, bro. I had like a minute left. And I was like, fuck, man. Like, me banging my head off the sign got the most laughs out of my whole set.
Oh, so it still got a laugh, though?
It did,
okay,
but, like,
it's not the way you want
I was at a point in, like, I was still earlier on. Like, I've been doing it, I don't know, like, maybe around the same time, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And that includes COVID. It was, like, a weird time where I didn't perform for, like, close to, like, 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I didn't do Yuck Yucks again for a while. But,
I could make the argument that, like, because we probably then started, like, around the same time. Like, I took some breaks and stuff. But, like, I think people who started around our time, it's, like, probably the worst time to start comedy. Because it's, like, I feel like I started, and then just kind of when you're getting, like, your feet wet and you're, like, starting to understand, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I feel like pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then, like, comedy just, like, it just shut down. During like a time where I think like people usually kind of start going like about like a year or two in. So I feel like there's like a lot of us where it's just like you have that like 4 or 5 year number attached to you, but then like you really got to like cut it in half with the pandemic and everything. But yeah, no, it was Yuck Yucks was like it was a weird one to do, like my first set, but I knew nothing about stand up, like I said, so like to me it didn't seem weird at the time. I was like, oh, this is just what stand up comedy is. Yeah. It's just everyone comes to Yuck Yucks and performs, and then like that's normal. So it wasn't until I kind of hit like the open mics after that I realized it was like a very intense way to start off.
Do you have like like inspiration? Okay, here's like a 2-part question.
Yeah.
Like when you did you model yourself out of someone in the beginning? Like someone, that just kind of inspired. Because I remember in the beginning for me, I'll get back to this in a second.
Yeah, for sure.
But in the beginning for me, after my Second City set, someone, in my first set, I told like someone else who was in my class to like kill himself, like he was too sexy to just do stand up or whatever. It was like something along those lines, but like it got a big pop, you know, a lot of laughs. And then after he was like, next Bill Burr, and like I don't know if you've seen me, like my style's not like Bill Burr at all, like, and so like for like a couple months after, I was like writing like Bill Burr.
Gotcha.
Do you know what I mean? And then I realized, like, for me personally, I realized that the people that inspire me aren't my favorite comedians. Oddly enough.
Yeah,
you know?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So just was there a person that inspired you? And part B is, are the people that inspire you your favorite comedians?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Like, I think when I first started, just because I knew nothing about stand-up, I didn't have any friends in stand-up or anything. Like, I kind of just was like modeling after what I was into. When it came to like professional comedians, like Louis C.K. is like one of my favorites. So I feel like I was trying to go into like darker stuff but make it funny. But like the problem with stand-up is like when someone's good at it, it seems easy. You know what I mean? Like if someone's playing the piano and they're like dope, like you look at it and you're like, oh, I can't do that. Like I can't even see like that person's fingers, you know? But like when a stand-up comedian who's really good does it, it seems easier. So I was like, oh yeah, I can talk about like dark stuff and make it funny. And then I immediately figured out that like, oh no, that's hard. Like, you know, like people come to these shows to like laugh and like not get reminded of like every bad thing that ever happened. So I feel like because I didn't know too many people doing stand-up, like I didn't have anyone in the scene that I model myself after, but I did try to like, I tried to dip into like the dark material, for sure. And then kind of then got out of it because I was like, that's too hard. And then I've been like slowly trying to get back into it. Now.
Yeah, it's easier once you're more comfortable. And I definitely feel like the darker the stuff, the harder it is, for sure. Like I've heard a lot of rape jokes.
Yeah.
And like a handful of good ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Man, and it's like when they don't hit you know, that's the risk you take though, you know? It is an art form, you know, even though Canada doesn't technically recognize
they don't look at it as such. But I get what you mean. Like for me, the way I look at it is just like, look, you can try to make any joke you want, but I think it's like you said, it's just like just know what the odds are. You know what I mean? So it's like if I watch a comedian and they make like some like controversial joke and it doesn't work, and then they get like mad at the audience or even like mad at the other comedians, I'm like, all right, like I get it because I've been like frustrated too. But like a Holocaust joke should be hard. You know what I mean?
Yes,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? It should be hard. That's like why like I feel like you kind of go into like some darker stuff as well. Like the darker jokes you have that work, like those are like I don't have any real children, so for lack of a better term, those are like my babies because like it took me so fucking long to get them to work, and I had like so many failed attempts in different ways, and I'm like I'd almost want it that way. Like if you were just like any single dark thing you said to an audience, they just were like fucking dying laughing, that I think would probably take a lot of the joy from it. But I think everyone's got like the right to try. It's just like
absolutely.
A rape joke is hard. It should be hard, you know? Like
and I think like once you're more comfortable and have enough material, reading the room is also important.
That's
if you
big,
see a comedian go on and you know before you, and you have like just I don't know, fucking whatever kind of joke you're talking about, you know, just killing babies or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just, you know, a similar joke didn't work beforehand. Maybe don't do that joke in this room.
Yeah,
you know?
I see you do that a lot, actually, where you'll kind of, like, take the time to, like, suss out the room. And, like, I feel like a lot of comedians don't, I think, realize how important it is to just, like, survey and see, like, who you're working with. Like, you can do the same material no matter what. And, like, I get that philosophy if you're like, I'm just going to do my jokes and go up. But, like, I do think it helps to, like, just take some time on stage and just, like, just see what you're working with. Because it's going to change, like, the reception you get no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sometimes you get those, like, I've had to, and, like, I do it in a joking manner where I just, like, maybe go off on someone who said something. I'll be like, I'm sorry, man. Like, I don't know why I said that, you know? But, like, overall, I think that, I try not, like, especially as a host now, man, I'm really trying to just respect the audience because I want the people to come back.
Yeah.
You know?
The hosting's hard.
It is. And it's like, it's also like sifting through. Right now at Rec Room, the last thing I did, you were at one of the shows. The one after that, they kind of like put me on Friday. I got 2 shows. So one was like more PG and one was like 19 plus.
Okay.
And so I'm able to kind of go through things that way. But I had an issue with like Comedy Bar like way back. I'm actually returning. Knee Slapper City is going to Comedy Bar next month.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Actually for the next 2 months.
Okay.
And then it's going to be back at Rec Room in June.
Okay.
But yeah, there was like, man, I started producing shows at Comedy Bar, and then I had an issue with someone because I had. And it's something that I didn't even think was, like, super bad, man. Like, I don't think I tend to feel like I like to take a little bit of each kind of thing. Like, I have some that are stories. I have maybe one or two jokes that are political, a couple stupid, silly one-liners, like some dad jokes, whatever. Like, I just like to, like, kind of bring a mix. So I don't really look at myself as too controversial. I've never called myself like an edgy comedian or anything like that, but I did have a joke about something similar. Actually, I think I kind of when you did Knee Slapper City, I kind of like touched on it a little bit, but it was just a joke about Amber Heard's pussy smelling. Essentially, it was just a smelly pussy joke talking about Amber Heard. Because at the time it was topical. They were going through that trial. And like 2 ladies left. I went out into like the bar area. I was looking for a comedian because they were on next. And the security guy was like, 2 ladies just left her show. Oh, and they were like furious. Yeah. And I was like, what? Like only 2 comedians have been on so far. Like me and Anna Lau. You know Anna Lau? Yeah. And like she says some stuff. She says some off-color stuff sometimes, and that's fine, But like I didn't think... I heard both of us. I didn't think we said anything that would have warranted someone leaving the show.
No, between the 2 of you, you should be fine.
And they ended up, like, writing an email to Gary.
Oh, shit,
And it was like, yeah, dude. And he's like, yeah, so the title of the email was just all caps, hate speech.
Over an Amber Heard joke.
Oh, dude, yeah. Yeah. And, like, I've heard a lot of small dick jokes, and I've heard a lot of smelly pussy jokes, too. And I just, I was trying to look for them. Like at the actual show, and I couldn't find them, and I was telling Gary, like, I would have apologized, man. I was trying to. He's like, no, these are the kind of people that it just would have made it worse. Yeah, and
it's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like a lot of people, because like Toronto isn't really like a comedy city. Like when it comes to like the culture of stand-up comedy, I feel like a lot of people when they come to shows, it might be like their first stand-up show or second show or something. As opposed to if you go to like other cities, like obviously New York is a good example where it's just like they know what they're getting into when it comes to stand up. And like the way I look at it is just like if I had like a leg injury, like I wouldn't go on a roller coaster that has me like shaking back and forth from side to side. You know what I mean? Like that's the way that I look at it for stand up, where it's just like you're allowed to have like things where like you're sensitive about it. I'm never gonna call someone like a pussy because they didn't like the joke, but I do think that it's like you do gotta walk in knowing that like everything there's like people are making fun of something and you're kind of just like crossing your fingers that they don't make fun of your sensitive thing. And like I guess leaving isn't too bad. Like the email is where I think like that's where I kind of like I'm like okay, they went a little bit too far because like I remember I was at one show and one comedian started to go into like darker material. This audience member left. And then came back, and then the comedian was just like, oh, like, what happened? She's like, oh, I just heard the material getting into, and, like, that stuff is, like, triggering for me. And I was like, you know what? Like, I respect it. I respect that she just, like, left and came back and did that. And I'd respect if I was, like, in a set and someone just, like, left my set because they didn't like what I was doing. But I think it's, like, a separate thing to, like, email someone and be like, because I don't know what the intention of the email is. I'm pretty sure it's like, hey, don't allow you to do the show anymore.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, well, then what do you think, like, stand-up is? Especially with an Amber Heard joke. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, at that point, it's like, the worst you're doing is making fun of white women, which I feel like there's just nothing bad enough for someone to be like, hey, you don't deserve to run a show anymore,
Yeah, so, it's weird. It's weird talking about Amber Heard, but I've actually, like, so, there was, like, 2 documentaries that came out about the thing, and, the second one I had actually watched. The second one was a Netflix one. Yeah. And... man, they really kind of, like, don't get me wrong, like, Amber Heard's out there, bro. Yeah. But, like, I don't, and it's weird because, so there's I think it's 3 episodes. Okay. I don't know if you saw it. No. But, so it's 3 episodes, and it's very, like, one-sided. Like, it really paints a lot of stuff where it's like, oh yeah, Amber Heard's for sure in the wrong. Johnny Depp hasn't done anything. Look at his finger, blah, 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 all this stuff. Yeah. And then, like, dude, the last 15 minutes of, like, the last episode, they just show so much where it's like, oh no, like, Johnny's manager knows that he smacked the shit out of her on a plane, and they were, like, hiding it. And, like, it really just, like, oh wait, so you guys knew, and you guys just stuffed it in right at the end. Yeah, and so, like, my stance on Amber Heard, like, don't get me wrong, I still think the joke's kind of funny. Yeah. And, like, I think it's run its course. Like, I don't do it anymore. But, like, I've changed my stance on her, man. I don't think she's necessarily as crazy as people were out there.
She got vilified. She got vilified, and it was like, I don't know, I was watching the whole thing, and to me it was weird, where I was like, people have been in relationships. Like, they know that it's just, like, it's usually 50-50 when it comes to, like, the fault of, like, somebody in a relationship. Like, and if it's not 50-50, it's close enough where it's just, like, there's no way she was purely the villain. You know what I mean? And especially when you're getting your news, like, from, like, the judicial system, like, where the lawyer's job is to paint one person as badly as possible without the other person taking any accountability. So, like, I definitely don't think, like, Amber Heard is, like, a villain, and it makes sense that the documentary kind of showed there was, like, a lot more going on. My thing is just, like, even if you kind of got it wrong, right? Like, what if the joke was you getting it wrong? Like, comedy isn't supposed to be right. Like, the punishment, if you got it wrong, would be, like, oh, people don't laugh at the joke. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of where I have, like, I guess, like, my issues with, like, people, like...
And, like, everyone else liked it. Everyone else laughed. And Gary was like, well, it seems like everyone else, like, laughed at the joke. Because he was, like, you know, questioning the tech guy and whatever. It was, like, this whole big thing, you know? Yeah. And I ended up getting switched to, like, Comedy Bar Danforth. And okay. Yeah. And then I just stopped for a bit. But
yeah, it's tricky, man. It's tricky. Stand-up these days, you just, like... I don't know. Because even when I'm writing jokes, like, I feel like I'll, like, do research now. Like, writing jokes just to make sure that, like, I am on point, because, like, there is always the possibility that somebody could get upset. And, yeah, I guess it's good because it's, like, it's kind of, like, factually accurate, but I do think that the point is to be funny. That's the main thing, right?
Yeah, lighten up. Have you ever had, like, what was your worst, let's say, interaction at a show while you were on stage? Do you have any...
Let me think.
One horror story?
Interaction. One hole?
One horror story.
Oh, one horror story. I'm trying to think. Like, if it comes to, like, an audience getting mad at me, I don't think so. Not that I can... I feel like I probably would have, like, remembered. Like, I've had, like, sets where, like, people have not been laughing, obviously. Yeah. But, like, usually a lot of the times, like, if I'm doing any, like, darker material, I'll usually try to, like, Trojan horse the dark joke until the end, which I find, like, usually is, like, good enough, like, not necessarily to get people on my side, but it will, like, avoid people getting, like, too upset. No, I just had, like, the only thing that I hate is just, like, when you're doing darker stuff and, like, people aren't laughing, like, I feel like it's worse than when you're doing lighter stuff and people aren't laughing, because it's, like, now the room is just, like, the mood is soured, you know what I mean? Like, if you have a 9/11 joke and people aren't laughing, I feel like it tanks the room more than if you were, like, talking about, like, Caillou or Peppa Pig or something like that, you know? Because, like, you're bringing something sad on, and, like, to me, I think, like, that is, like... I think that's fair, though. Like, the way I look at it is, like, I find it more satisfying getting into, like... I wouldn't even say darker material. It's just, like, richer material, right? Like, where there's, like, more to, like, angles to, like, look at it. But, like, if I don't get the joke, like, right, then... And people don't laugh and the mood is sour, then I'm like, okay, you know what? That's a fair outcome. But I don't think I've had, like, anybody have, like, any negative reactions, at least in my face. Maybe, like, afterwards, or, like, fuck that guy, but... Alright. Yeah, nothing too serious.
You're a single dude, yeah?
No, in a relationship now.
Oh, you are in a relationship?
Yeah.
Shoot,
yeah, I'm cuffed up now, yeah.
Shoot, how long has that been?
It's been about, like, a year now, yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
On Hinge.
Okay.
Hinge, yeah, the dating apps,
okay.
Yeah.
What was your profile at the time when you connected with her?
Profile was good. I have a younger sister, so she looked it over and kind of just, like, curated it to make sure that it was, like, you know, I guess as good as possible. But I think I had just like a regular picture. It was like my first one, just like a full, like, it just, I think my sister was just like, you want them to be able to see, like, what you actually look like. Apparently, like, a lot of guys have, like, hat, sunglasses, like hoodie on. It's like for most of the pics to kind of just like throw them off. So I was like, all right, this is me. And then I remember I threw like a stand-up pic there, like near the end. Because I was just like, okay, like that will can maybe help a little bit. But
were these just like phone photos, or were these like professional?
No,
phone.
I hate photos, man. It's like that's like I hate taking photos. So like I would say the one dishonest thing is because there's so little photos of me. Like I was pulling from like years back just to like fill out the profile.
Yeah.
Because like if I'm at a party and someone's like take a picture, I'm out of there. I'm like I'm gone, man. I'm like, oh, I gotta use the washroom again.
Yeah. Man, I also met my lady on Tinder, but I was like, dating fucking app, whatever. I was really against it for a long time.
Yeah.
And just my buddy who I was working with him, and our boss met his lady through Tinder. My buddy met his lady through Tinder. He's actually getting married next month. So, and they're just like, because I was like, man, if I wanted to, and in no way am I trying to sound cocky, but I was like, man, if I want to just fuck, I can fuck.
For sure. Yeah,
I didn't, so like my whole profile, like I was not, like I was very noobish when it came to this. I just had like, I had some like headshots, I had a couple photos of me doing stand-up.
Yeah.
Then my profile was just a guy looking for his person.
Okay, I feel like that's good, bro.
And I fucking found her.
Yeah, it works, man. I feel like most people are meeting like on like dating apps.
It's
nowadays.
For real now, man. Yeah.
You know? Well, it's like I feel like it's the one thing I've noticed is like when I was on it, is like it tends to be, and like this is obviously a generalization. So I'm sure there's busy people who aren't on dating apps, but like a lot of the time, if you have a lot going on, like for me, I was doing stand up so much, and then I had like work and everything, and I was like, oh, I'm not going out as much, like. I'm out, like, at bars and stuff because I do stand-up, but, like, I'm not out like I used to be where, like, I would be meeting girls at, like, bars and, like, clubs and, like, house parties and stuff because, like, I'd have, like, a show on the weekend. So I was like, okay, like, this just makes the most sense. And so that was one thing I noticed is just, like, a lot of people that just, like, had a lot going on or a lot of people that just aren't at the clubs and stuff, like, anymore, like, all right, let me just use the dating apps to, like, meet people in an easier way. Because there's just, like, everyone has, like, 50 side hustles now. You know what I mean? It's just, and the thing is, like...
You got to, man.
You have to. Yeah. And, like, what I feel like people don't talk about is, like... I feel like everyone knows that, like, one guy where it's just, like, his thing is, like, hooking up with girls. And, like, to do that, that is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everyone has, like, a time where maybe, like, they were, like, in that pocket. And, like, you got to commit, like, a lot of your life to going out.
Are we talking about Matt Render? Or?
You know
he's
what?
The man, dude.
He is, though.
You gotta respect him.
He's crushing
He knows
it.
what he is, and he's fucking... But he kills stand-up, bro. He's like... he's getting with chicks.
Yeah.
He drives around. He does, like... essays for like college kids.
I don't think he
where
sleeps.
Does this guy? I don't think he sleeps. He works out. Like we're like 2-3 hours a night. That's tops for this guy.
Yeah,
it just seems so busy. Man.
No, I respect him.
I love fucking.
Yeah.
Good dude, man.
His hustle's insane, but there's not a lot of Matt Renders out there. Is what I'm saying. So like usually, if you're putting up the numbers that he is, then you don't have stand up comedy and you're not working out. It's like you got your day job.
Yeah.
You come back home, you probably eat, and then you're like, okay, where are we going out tonight? You know, that sort of thing. Because a lot of it is like rejection too. Like it's just like you got to be willing to like put yourself out there. And it's like, you can't just be, no one's dropping in the bar from 10:30 to 11, picking up like a 9 out of 10 and then going home. You know what I mean? Like you're getting there at like whatever, like 10, and you're staying out until 1 until you find like the one girl that says yes, right? So the dating apps were good. Like get back to the point, just because I was like, all right, I'm not in that lifestyle anymore, and I'm like comedy, like I'm just like doing stand up all the time, so dating app will be easier.
Yeah, here we are, dude. Year later,
you
going
met
her.
well.
You guys live together?
No, separate living situations now, but it could be on the way.
Man, me and my lady, she lived in like Vaughan.
Okay.
And I lived in Mississauga, but in a different part.
Yeah.
And like fucking pandemic, man, happened, and things were getting so crazy, and we're just like, well. Seems like a good time. We had been dating for like less than a year.
Yeah.
It was like easily the quickest I've like jumped into something like that.
But you met during the pandemic?
No, we met before.
Before the pandemic, okay.
But we had been together less than a year. Pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And then we within, I don't know, man, maybe like 10 months we were living together. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like the pandemic made it so that people, like, the pandemic was like an accelerator when it came to relationships. Because, like, I went through like 2 relationships during like the pandemic. And like,
did you get a dog?
I didn't get a dog. I didn't get it. I was one like loaf of sourdough bread away.
Yeah.
From getting a.
Oh, you got into sourdough? You got into making bread and shit?
No, didn't even do that. But like, I feel like if I did the bread, then like the dog was coming next.
You
know
I got
mean?
you. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, I feel like did you feel like because there wasn't as much like going on like that, like it made it so like you could like actually just focus on each other and it kind of accelerated things from there? Or?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Because like, I mean. She worked there. I worked in Mississauga, and I mean, there's only a finite amount of time in the week.
Yeah,
you know, so we're spending like easily, like fucking 5 to 10 more times. The time together than we would have been. So definitely, dude. Yeah, but we got a dog, dude. We went all out. We got a dog. We got a fucking cat. We had a baby.
Yeah, man.
It's not a pandemic baby, but like, the pandemic probably sped up the baby coming.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing is, I think it's like good because it's like, if it wasn't, like, I think the pandemic like speeds things up, but like, it also speeds things up if like people aren't right for each other. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so like, I also saw couples that it's just like, they got together quickly. Cause like those, like the summer of 2020, I think, when people kind of knew that the lockdowns were going to be for real, there was like this like mad dash for people like just trying to get like a partner to like hunker down with.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my friends like got in relationships, and then the pandemic, some of them it accelerated in the right way where it's just like, okay, now they're living together, or, you know, like they said like I love you quicker, that sort of thing. But then some of it was like, oh, they got to spend every waking second with each other, and they weren't right to begin with. So that whole 2-year arc that would have ended the relationship like got compressed into like 8 months, you know, and like their life was just like a soap opera. So I think it was good for the couples that like were meant to be like you guys, and then it was bad for the people that.
Well, it's not. I don't even think it's necessarily bad, man. I mean, how long do you want to be in a relationship that's not going to work?
You know what I mean? Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You know, so at least that happened.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into top 5? I know we're kind of like we're both short on time today, so you want to get into top 5 first?
Yeah, 100%.
And the segue will be. There would have been a lot of good reality shows if, the pandemic time was created, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know? Speaking of reality shows.
Yeah.
Do you want to do top 5 reality shows?
Yeah,
start off with that?
Yeah.
You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
No, you can go first, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine was weird, dude, because I'm not, like, super into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I came up with 5, and I Googled to make sure they were considered reality shows. So Hell's Kitchen.
Hell's Kitchen, good.
It's like competition, but also like the the element of reality TV is there, I guess. Jackass. That was a pretty groundbreaking one.
That's a great pick. Yeah.
Recently, this is like one that I would actually like to compete in. The Squid Game, the challenge.
Man, you watch like the whole thing?
Yeah.
I like binge watched that in like 3-4 days.
Yeah, dude.
That was good.
Yeah, my lady didn't fucking want to watch it with me, so it was like, I was just turning it on anytime I had like a free, 10 minutes or whatever, but super solid. Looks like fun, man.
Looks like fun, and then also what I liked about that one is like, I feel like a lot of the times like the editing in like these other reality TV shows and some of the ones that I'll mention kind of play up how villainous someone is. Mm-hmm. But in the Squid Games one, you could just like there were kind of like villains, but like you could tell like they just had a camera and they just like put like a bunch of people there, and then like the people that kind of did shady stuff also did like good stuff as well. You know what I mean? Like I feel like no one came out other than like the one chick. I feel like at the end, like I forget her name. I think it was the girl who won, where people like kind of vilified her, but like everyone kind of just did good things and bad things, and like I mess with that.
Yeah. And there was that brief time where the one lady, black lady, where she was supposed to jump and she didn't take her turn, and then for like 2 episodes people didn't like her, and then it just kind of like
just went away. Yeah. Which I feel like is like kind of like life, honestly.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You'll have moments where you're like, fuck this guy, and then like you kind of
I'm trying to win. Okay, I feel a little bad.
Yeah,
yeah. Is it Cake?
Is
it a reality show? I don't know, dude.
That's a Japanese one, right?
I don't know if it's. I don't think it's Japanese. Well, it could be a Japanese one.
Maybe
but I know there's an American. Yeah, it could have started that way. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's number 4, and then Man, over the pandemic, just because I wasn't working, my sleep was all like mangled. My lady, she was working from home a little bit, and I'm a chef. Like if I don't have a kitchen, I can't fucking work.
Yeah.
And so like we were just sleeping at different times, and I was up until like 4 or 5 in the morning most nights, and like I spent a lot of time going through 30 Day Fiancé.
That one's fire. That one's so good.
That was
Rose
so
and
intense.
Ed?
I don't even know why I liked it so much, but it was captivating, bro.
Yeah.
And like, I went through quite a few seasons. I don't know how many there is, but I watched like 5 fucking seasons of that shit.
Yeah, that was good because it's like you got like one. Because the thing is, both of them are like. I think it's like both of them are in relationships for the wrong reasons, but like the opposite reasons as well. Like one, it's like whoever the immigrant is that wants to come to the States or whatever is just in it for the check. In it for the bag, and you have that like in real life as well, but I feel like the most desperate version of that is like the Rose and Ed situation, right, where it's like no matter who you are, no matter what you do, I'm gonna date you so I can get I can get to the States. And then I feel like you have the opposite, which is like Ed, where it's just like, oh, it's like I don't need the bag, I just need someone around. I need someone desperate enough to like be with me.
Yeah.
And when you take greed and like desperation and you put it together, that's like the funniest shit.
Oh man, what you got, bro? What you got?
Yeah, okay. So I'll go like number 1 is Survivor. That's my go-to. Yeah.
I fell off that, but like the first few seasons I was really into.
Yeah, it has its ups and downs. Like I'd say there was 1 or 2 seasons with actually I won't spoil it, but there was a Winners at War season where they just like took all the winners and put them against each other, and so like that one got me back into it.
Right.
But yeah, really fuck with Survivor, and then. This one is like my guilty pleasure one, Big Brother. I don't know if you know Big Brother. It's a reality TV show.
Yeah.
And so that one is just they put them in a house. Kind of like same vibes with Squid Games. They're just there for so long. They're there for like 3 months. That like I think like a cabin fever effect.
That's wild that it's 3 months. I didn't realize it was
3 months they're there. Sometimes like some seasons even longer, right?
That's crazy.
So it's like they lose their mind by the end of it. You know what I mean? You're watching people like unravel, and like I don't even care that they get the $1 million. Like I just enjoy like that sadistic part of me watching that happen, and then also because the money's there like that, it makes it more interesting. So I like that. I'm trying to think what the and then third one, Hell's Kitchen is good. I do mess with Hell's Kitchen just because like I don't really mess with Gordon Ramsay that much, but like I think he's like a fun villain to watch like on the shows.
Yeah,
like just him like screaming at people, like I love it. And then whenever like a chef kind of like pushes back, like that to me.
Love that.
I love that.
You want to go in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Yo, dude, I love that shit. Yeah.
And the thing is,
he's a lot. Dude, I don't know. Like I was sorry to interrupt, but I was introducing my lady to the show just like 2 or 3 years ago, and we tried to go to like season 1, dude, and it's fucking so much work. Like the seasons now, they're so more tame than
the way he treats
the
them?
beginning. Oh yeah.
Oh,
like he used to call people like fat pigs and shit like that on the show. Where it's like, dude, you can't say that. They overcook some salmon, dude. Like, relax. You know what I mean?
But like, what I also love is like I've served like a little bit as a bartender, and I've worked like back of kitchen as well, and I feel like I don't know, like everyone like who's kind of like back of kitchen, I feel like those are like the wrong people to talk like that to. If you've really done it before, you know what I mean? Like that's like a pretty like you obviously know it's like a chaotic environment. So it's like sometimes you get the people that are like, oh yeah, yes, Gordon, like anything, chef, you know, whatever. But then like when you get like that like motherfucker that's just like, man, like no, like I don't even care that like there's cockroaches in the pasta. Like shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I love that. So yeah, love Hell's Kitchen.
Dig it.
And then The Challenge, which is like this one reality TV show on MTV. I really mess with that. And then the fifth one is tough, but I'll go with 90 Day Fiancé. That one, honestly.
Oh, is that what it was? What did I say? 30 Day Fiancé?
30 Day. It could be 30 Day, but I
don't know. I think 30, it is. I think I was wrong.
Yeah. Either way, too quick to fall in love.
Yeah.
Too quick to
sure.
get married.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, that one I'll go number 5.
All right, dig it.
Yeah.
Dig it. When I usually bring that one up, people make me feel weird, but I don't give a shit, bro. Like, you know, I'm not really ashamed of it. You know,
what? Because it's like a romance show or something like that, or like.
Well, and it's just like it's just. It's a little corny. But I like corny. You know?
I do too, man.
And
honestly,
I think the dynamics between each relationship, like there's a couple relationships that have like lasted out of that show. It's just like, hey man, however you find your person, you know?
For sure, 100%.
Superheroes. You want to do those?
Yeah, superheroes. Okay. So this one's easy. Spider-Man, number 1 for sure. And then Wolverine, number 2. Fuck with Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then 3 I'll go Black Panther. Black Panther's dope. And then number 4, 5 is like, these are interchangeable, like Batman, Superman. I know those are basic answers. But
Yeah,
like,
no, I dig those answers.
Yeah, both of them are dope to me.
All right.
What about you?
Batman's my number 1.
Yeah.
Then I'm going Ninja Turtles,
Ooh,
like as a whole.
that's
kind
good.
of cheat on that.
I love that.
Red Hood.
Okay. Yeah, nice.
Arsenal. I'm actually like, I find like I read comics and shit, and I find like the more interesting stories are like the humans that are doing these kind of things.
Yeah, yeah.
So Arsenal's my number 4, and then Spider-Man's my number 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like Red Hood. That's used to be Robin, right? And
Yeah.
then, yeah. I feel like that's what's good about like the Robin stories is like DC. Obviously, the power scaling is like nuts, but then you get like I feel like every Robin has kind of gone through some like really, really, really dark shit because they are attached to Batman and they don't have like any superpowers. So it's like they got to make it like really, really dark to be compelling. Yeah. So it's like Red Hood, Damian Wayne, I think is one of the Robins as well. Like all those like stories like with the Batman kind of like side characters are all dope.
And the whole reason even Red Hood came to be was like it's a whole like Jason Todd as a Robin wasn't really received well. Like I think a lot of people would argue that he's the worst Robin.
Yeah.
And at one point, DC made like their fans vote which Robin to kill off.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he ended up getting killed off. And then 10 years later, they did like this kind of 6-issue series called Red Hood: The Lost Days, where it was just like, oh, he was discovered by like Ra's al Ghul and didn't actually die. And like there was this whole fucking thing. And then all of a sudden, he just like he blew up, and now he's like kind of like a big deal. So I'm glad that
yeah.
He's kind of like a mix of like Batman and Punisher. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Wasn't it the Joker that like beat him to death with like a crowbar or something like that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. No, that was sick.
Gruesome. Comedians. Let's get into comedians.
Comedians, okay. Yeah. So Louis C.K. number 1.
Hell yeah.
Like that was like my first. Like I think the first comedian I ever saw was Dane Cook for some reason, and then I didn't watch a lot of comedy.
I enjoyed Dane Cook back in the day before I found out that he like stole a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
It kind of ruins. I mean, yeah.
He's a good first comedian to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before, like, I feel like any comedian that's been doing it long enough, you sort of get a little bit pretentious with, like, the art and, like, the creativity behind it. But when I was just removed from stand-up, didn't know what it was, I was like, oh, this guy's just funny. You know?
Yeah.
So, watched him and then got into Kevin Hart, and then that was really all I knew about stand-up. But then I saw Louis C.K. and it, like, floored me. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could, like, talk about... I didn't even know, like... dark thoughts like this existed, and then watching someone make it funny was like awesome. So number 1 Louis C.K., number 2 Dave Chappelle. Love Dave Chappelle, especially like a lot of his earlier stuff, really
Definitely,
funny. Richard Pryor, number 3. Love Richard Pryor just because like I feel like just the way he talks, he can kind of just like make you can like read like a children's book and make it funny, just like the inflections in his voice. Number 4, Greer Barnes. I don't know if you know Greer Barnes. He's like a New York guy. He's like at the Cellar, and like he's basically just like a Cellar comedian, but he's been doing it a long time. So apparently in New York, like amongst the Cellar comedians, they say like you're good if you can like follow Greer Barnes, basically.
Okay.
So he's good.
Okay, so while we're on that,
is
there anyone you hate to follow in the Toronto scene?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Hate to follow. Fuck. You know what? I'll say I don't know if I hate to follow him, but like when it happens, then like that thing in my brain kind of goes like, okay, like you need to bring your A game so you don't get like washed out.
Okay.
So I feel like Hershon Aurora, he brings it. Kyle Patton, I don't know if you know him, but he also brings it. And then Hannah. Hannah Valhoon, she's a killer. So those 3 probably like if they go up before me, I'm like, okay, like I gotta fucking get my notes out and like look at the material I'm saying.
All right.
Yeah.
I dig it.
And then number 5, there's another New York comedian named Drew Michaels. He's like kind of newer, but like also goes into a lot of darker stuff, but does it like in a funny way. Yeah.
You trying to get to New York at some point?
Oh, that's like the dream. Like,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. I dig it. Okay. My number 1's Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Okay, solid.
Big fan of him. Chappelle. It's my number 2.
Love that, yeah.
More of a lesser known guy, Mark Forward.
Mark Forward, okay.
Yeah, he's a Canadian guy, actually from Oakville.
Oh,
and
true, okay.
he wrote for, he was also in Mr. D, Letterkenny. He's also, he writes for that show, and he's in that show.
Yeah, I'll check him out.
Just just super funny, and just a very odd style. I wouldn't say he's like a prop comedian, but every once in a while he busts like a prop out. Like I was saying, kind of like, for me, like, I don't do prop comedy, but there's a couple times where I've like, brought cantaloupe, handed out to the audience, and talked about how like I fucked it after I handed it out, or something. Just like stupid shit like that, you know. And so, I really like him. And then I'm going George Carlin and Bill Burr.
Okay, that's good. That's a good top five. Yeah.
Carlin was kind of my introduction, to stand-up comedy.
I've actually never seen a full Carlin special, which is like criminal. I've seen like clips, and I'm like, I like this, but like that's why he's not in my top 5. I just haven't seen it, so
right.
I'm just waiting one day, and I'm just gonna go through. I know
there's a lot. There's so much stuff, man.
Are they all good though? Like, or is it?
It's hard to say. I have a couple favorites, but like I couldn't even tell you the names of them. I could tell you jokes from them.
Yeah.
What one's like, the one with this joke, but I don't really. My buddy Steve's really like, his memory's really good like that. Like if I said a joke, he'd be like, "Oh, that's this one from 1997 or some shit." I'm not like that. And he has his catalog's so huge.
Yeah, I know.
But definitely some are better than others. Okay. Kind of same with Chappelle, man. Like
that's true.
I definitely like his older stuff just because like it was less. I don't want to say predictable. But now it's like, even in his latest special, which I liked, in the beginning, he seems like he's not going to talk about his stuff. Yeah. And then it just like 5 minutes in, you're like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he just brings it back to the trans shit. And you're like, God damn it, man. Like I thought we were going to,
It's like, with him, it's weird because it's like, I feel like back in the day, his earlier specials, like his North Star was funny. You know what I mean? So whatever like was funny, that's what he's going to talk about.
Yeah.
And like now I feel like because he's being like glorified, he's become this deity. Like I still love him, still like him. He's a funny comedian. Right. But like he means so much to so many people, and in his mind, so many movements that I think he's making the joke follow what he wants to talk about. So he's probably like, oh, you know what? I gotta correct the world by saying this, and that. Mm-hmm. While like in his earlier specials, just like, you know what's funny? Like a homeless man jacking off on the bus.
Yeah, it's a great joke.
Like and that was like really funny. So that's why I like his earlier stuff a lot better.
Yeah, me too. Let's do the Strokes songs. I thought it was really cool that you liked the Strokes, man. I just saw them recently, and and they opened for Chili Peppers.
Oh, were you at the Air Canada Center? Yeah, I was at that concert too.
Nice, dude. Man, nice. Yeah, it was solid. And I didn't realize they had been together since high school. That's a really cool fact.
Yeah, they're just like from New York. I think like the lead singer has his dad or something is in the industry or something. But like they've been together since like high school. New York band. I kind of got into them kind of late, like 2017. This is like a crazier story that this is going to be too long, so I can't go into all of it, but I went on a first date with a girl who, we were talking about like our favorite bands and stuff, and then she said her favorite concert ever, she saw like the Strokes in like this tiny little bar or whatever, and so it turned out the date, like the girl that I was going on a date with, her sister died like 3 days ago. And like she just came on.
She still went on the date.
Yeah, which was like eerie. And then her favorite band was the Strokes. I think it had something to do with her sister as well. Mm-hmm. But then like every time we hung out, she was always talking about the Strokes, like always. And I was like, all right, fuck, like I'll listen to them. Mm-hmm. And then just like fell in love with it or with them from there. So love the Strokes. And was it top 5 songs or top 5 albums? Okay,
let's do songs.
Yeah, songs. So "Ode to the Mets" is like on their newest album. So I really love that one. And then "The Adults Are Talking," which was like a pretty big hit from their newest album again. I love. And then they have an album called "Come Down Machine," which is kind of like not regarded as one of their better ones, but they have a song called "One Way Trigger," which is really good. Mm-hmm. And people say "As It Was" by Harry Styles. They say it was kind of stolen from that song, but I don't really hear it. And then 4, what did I have as 4? 4 is probably, say, "The Modern Age," which is like from their first album. And then number 5, I'll say "Reptilia," which is like their second album.
That's the only song I know.
And it's a dope song.
I really got into them after seeing them perform. Yeah. And so like for me, I guess the songs I've heard the most are just like the most popular ones on Spotify, I guess. Yeah. And I knew, don't get me wrong, like I knew who they were before I saw them live. And there were a couple I liked before, but I don't know. I've been listening to them a lot more since I saw them live. Great show. Great show. Yeah. Juicebox is my number 1.
Okay.
Someday is
Someday
my
is
number
great.
2.
Yeah.
Reptilia, that's the only one we have in common.
Yeah.
I believe these are all singles too. Last Night.
Last Night's dope. Yeah.
And You Only Live Once.
Yeah, those are all good.
That's
yeah.
my top 5.
Yeah, their first album and their last album are like, which is very strange for a band to have like those known as like their 2 best.
Mm-hmm.
But like their first one is known as their best, and then their last one known as their best.
Well, at least they're still putting out stuff that people like.
Yeah, they're still cooking.
That's what you want. They've been around for a while. Let's end on bucket list items. Things on your bucket list.
Yeah, so this one was tough. Like I'm like a not really a bucket list guy. Not in like against like even in philosophy. Okay. I just like if like for me like my number one thing out of all of this is if I can do like comedy in New York, then like that's awesome. Yeah. Like to be like a comedian at the Cellar, that's like my number one thing. But then like I can't get excited about anything past that. And that's how I've been like kind of like my whole life is like I'll kind of like obsess over one thing, and then anything past that I can't really get excited for. So like I think for me it'd be a lot easier if I would go like bucket list items that will like lead to New York, right? So
okay.
We'll say New York number 1. New York being at the Cellar. That would be
you don't even need to do 5 if you can't come up with no pressure, dude.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, being New York, a Cellar comedian in New York would be dope. I think just moving to New York, like being able to like have the ability to do that, which I know you need to have like a lot of stuff going on credits wise. And then I think like I don't know, I think that would probably be it. Like everything else like that I feel like I do in stand up, like I love being on stage, but like headlining is nice, but like honestly, like as long as I'm on stage, like I'm kind of like happy. And then like I'm doing the social media thing, but like I'm only doing it so I can like, just like help myself kind of like get booked and like produce my own shows and that sort of thing. So I'd say like bucket list item is just like making it in New York. That's probably like the biggest thing.
All right.
Yeah. What about you?
I dig that. I feel like a couple things have probably changed since I had my daughter.
Yeah.
And this is just top 5, so. Maybe not. Yeah, all right. So number 1, go to space. That's my bucket list.
That's a dope one.
Who knows if I'll ever do it, dude?
Yeah, it's good.
But even something like experience zero gravity, like they have those planes. Like I'd be down to do something like that.
Yeah,
but like
sure.
I really want to go to space and see that the Earth is flat. It's no, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
I was like, God bless, man. Go
ahead.
Yeah.
You know what though, dude? I do like entertaining those guys just because I like hearing their theories, Yeah. And I follow a couple pages or at least one page on Instagram where I'm like, all right, you crazies, I'll entertain you.
It's so weird because I've always said that like those like the flat earthers or just any conspiracy theorists, but like let's say flat earthers, they actually know more about the science than like the average person, because they have to do some research to get there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm dumb. I can't tell you why the Earth is round. There's like smarter people tell me that, and I go along with it.
Right.
But then anyone I know who's like a flat earther is like, well, if you look at the curvature or whatever, and I'm like, oh, you've done some research, but then you went like off the deep end. You know what I mean? Like you carried the one way too far, and it just like threw off the results. So. Yeah, I'm not a flat earther at all, but I do find it entertaining to listen to him speak.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, most recently, and I'm currently in the midst of working on it, this is one that came from having my daughter, but I want to publish a children's book, dude.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, so I already have like the idea, and I'm figuring out, I got an illustrator. Actually, she just hopped on board recently. I tossed the idea to her maybe like a month ago.
Yeah.
And so it was out there, and I had just been putting some stuff together for myself.
Okay.
Because I've been reading a lot of children's books, bro.
Yeah.
There's a lot over there, and
yeah, damn.
The more I read them, the more I'm like, I can fucking write one of these.
No, 1,000%. You can make it funny, too.
Yeah, well, I feel like there will be a little bit of that, but mine's like, I guess I gotta inject some humor somehow. But it's really like the foundation of the book is just like, it's like a self-empowerment thing.
That's
where
dope,
like a kid who really likes superheroes is kind of gets disappointed. It kind of does these tests. Like, just simple things, where they are like, oh, I'm a superhero. This is how I can test if I'm a superhero. And they don't pass any of the tests, and then by the end, they rescue a kitty from a tree or some sort of thing. I'm still figuring some things out. They're it's in the beginning stages, but, like, it's gonna happen, and I imagine it'll happen at some, like, I told you I'm on my leave right now, so I'm trying to put a lot of work in for that project right now.
For sure, man, yeah.
So that's my number 2. I feel like with my number 3, like there's other things that like I kind of have like a reverse kind of look at like this one is to do with like comedy specifically, and I guess I generally have bigger things that I want to do, like obviously like album fucking headlining tour, what like certain things are like for sure I want to do those things, but like I'm just like my next comedy goal would be to perform at the Comedy Store.
Oh, that'd be dope.
That's what I would say my number 3 is.
Okay.
And then I've been reffing for about 2 years, pro wrestling.
I saw that. Yeah, that's dope.
And I would love to officiate for like one of the main North America's main 3, like AEW, WWE, or TNA.
Yeah.
Like I would love to just do one of their events. So that's.
Do they tell you who's gonna win beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like
I know how it's gonna end. I know how long the match is gonna be. I'm like, fuck yeah.
I've always wondered that. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And then skydiving.
Skydiving, okay, yeah.
That's my number 5.
Yeah, all of those sounded dope to me. The skydiving one, I just... You know what? I could do skydiving, I can do bungee jumping. That's the one that scares me more.
I bungee jumped already.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, heights is like a fear of mine, like a big fear of mine.
Oh, so it's like exposure therapy. And so
I'm like, I don't want to let it control me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll do it. And then like when I actually went to go bungee jumping, like just getting to the platform in like the middle of the bridge was the most nerve-wracking fucking thing ever.
I can't.
I was holding that. I'm like, okay, I'm about to jump off this bridge, but here I am just fucking turtle stepping towards the middle, holding onto the rail. I'm like, it didn't make any sense.
Right?
Yeah,
that's the thing, right? Like, but then exhilarating when you did it, right?
It was great.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
All right, nice.
All right, dude. Let's end. These cards have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Because we're running low. Let's just do 1 question each.
Yeah.
You can decide what one to do.
Let's take this one.
Okay, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, damn. Okay, I'll go the top one here. So it says, you just learned you have 5 years left to live. What will you do? Okay, so there's like 2 ways I could go.
Okay.
One would be like I triple down on this whole stand-up thing and I just try to make my dream come true of like performing at the Cellar, possible within 5 years. And I'm like, okay, that's doable. That is doable. So that's like the one part of my brain, probably the responsible part. The other part of me is just like do every drug imaginable and just like take out as much credit as possible and just like live my best life. You know what I mean? Like heroin on Wednesdays. Just like eating whatever meal I want. Because like if you knew you only had 5 years left to live, you can take out enough credit that you can live like a millionaire basically. Yeah. And like what the drugs are going to do what to my system? I'm dying in 5 years. So it's between those 2, and I feel like right now I'll say stand up, but the doing drugs and eating funnel cakes is a lot more sexy of an option.
All right.
What's yours?
I dig it.
Yeah.
I'm not like super big on the drug thing, but and I mean like it's almost like I could beat 5 years. 5 years, 4.5, bro.
Yeah.
Watch this. Kind of thing where it's like, I mean, if you're gonna go out hard. I can respect the shit out of that.
Yeah, I think it's just like I'm not much of like a drug guy either.
Oh, I didn't think you were.
True. Yeah. No. Like I'll dabble, but like I think I do have like this thing with like, I don't know. Like anytime like I do like a drug, I'm like, oh okay, well this like fuck me up forever or something. So like the 5 years, I'm like, it's liberating to just be like, I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, those are the 2 options I think.
Dude, these aren't great.
Okay.
There's one that I definitely don't want to do.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what it is after. Okay, so would this lead to a more interesting You know what? I'll do the fucking weird one. Okay. This is the one I originally didn't want to do. You must choose one nation to rule the world. Which one will you choose and why?
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
why
tough.
I didn't want to do it.
No,
the other one is, are there topics that should not be joked about, or is humor always okay? I think we kind of touched on that a little bit, and we both kind of feel like you can joke about anything as long as you do it well enough.
For sure, yeah. That was interesting, because like one half of it is just like, be racist. And
yeah.
Like, tell me why being progressive is the right thing to do. Oh, man.
Who wants to... I think that's a ridiculous idea.
I think, like, honestly, I would give it to the Filipinos.
Filipinos, eh?
Yeah, I think this is probably, honestly, like a racist thing to say, because it's a generalization, but they seem like a very nice people, and any race possible, power would not go to their heads. Everyone else, I don't know. But I'm gonna just incriminate myself.
I'm not super into politics.
That's the right answer.
Like, I know certain things, man. I'm gonna answer a different question. One nation I would choose. I'm just gonna remove from, and you could argue if it's a nation, but let's just remove Israel from the conversation.
Oh, damn, okay.
All right, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
I can't pick one. In all honesty, I think that's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous for one person to rule, like, Canada or rule the States.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't think a nation should rule the world.
Yeah, yeah.
But especially not Israel.
You heard
And
it
that's
first.
All right, brother. Thank you for being here. You want to let these people know where to get at you?
Yeah, for sure. So it's pretty easy. Freddy Jan 17. Freddy FreddyJan 17. That's my Instagram. You can follow me there. I post clips of me doing stand up and where you can find me performing.
Oh yeah, go check him out. He's actually this episode is coming out on I don't know, the 1st or the 2nd.
Okay.
You're going to be headlining Lafiteria on the 6th.
Yeah.
So come out to that. He also is he's around. He's performing a lot.
Wow.
Go see him. Hilarious dude. Thanks again for being here, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Like always, this podcast is brought to you by Neon Light District. Hit them up. Use code Pillow Talk to save 10%. And by the Great North Apparel. Hit them up. Use code Pillow Talk to save 30%. Go get your tickets to Lafiteria. Go get your tickets to Knee Slapper City, happening at Comedy Bar Bloor. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Peace the fuck out.